I am live. Let me turn this light off so you don't that glare. Hang on a second. Hopefully that helped. Hey everybody, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. I'm trying something new today. Live broadcast. I'm in my workshop. You can see snow outside. Atlanta got a good bit of snow, or large portions of it. We got 3 inches. That doesn't sound like a lot. I'm sure some of you Northerners are like, please. But here in Atlanta, 3 inches of snow shuts the city down. Actually, 1 inch of snow will shut the city down. Our roads were basically impassable yesterday. They just don't have the trucks to de-ice or put down the brine or whatever. They do certain main highways, but they basically asked everybody just to, hey, stay home. Did people stay home? I did, but no, a lot of people did not stay home, and we did have some areas of the city that were blocked. I mean, people make fun of the South but hey, Toby, how are you? People don't know how to drive in snow and ice down here. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a Southerner. I was raised in the South, and I don't know how to drive properly. I have a 4-wheel drive, and I'm comfortable driving it in mud and things like that. But snow, ice, no idea. So, but anyway, today's things are sort of getting back to Terranaholic. Hey, man, things are getting back to normal. And by normal, I mean work. It is Saturday, and the post office was shut down on Thursday because of Jimmy Carter's funeral. It was a day of mourning, so the post office was shut down. And then yesterday, Friday, the post, due to the bad weather, I had 27 packages to go out. I mean, that's over 3 days. So this morning, I actually took a chance and got out on the road and delivered my packages to the post office. When I went in, I had, a big box. I had about 10, not 10, maybe 8 boxes in my hand, small to medium. And the lady at the desk was like, "Oh man," I said, "Oh, I've got 3 more trips. I'll be back." So 4 trips back and forth to get all the packages out. The good news was the post office was empty, and she and one other guy were the only ones working there. And so they took my stuff right away, and I assume it's off to my customers. So yeah, that was when the city shuts down or when the post office shuts down, packages build up very fast. So what am I going to do today? Well, I don't know. I definitely need to run the letter, so I may do that while you are here with me. I don't know how long I'll do this. Maybe 30 minutes. They don't appear in Illinois either. That's too bad. Hate to hear that. So what am I working on right now? Well, I've got a lot of different projects. Obviously, my laser business, I'm trying to catch up. I had a large number of orders last week for an item. I don't even think I have one. I sent them. I have literally sent everything out. I've got, it's not stained. It's not even finished. It's this. It's a tray, and I don't have one. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, here it is. So it's this tray. It's I do make an version. It's called the untouched. You can spray paint it, stain it however you want, but I also sell a stained version. What it is, it's a tray. You can see it's not very deep. This is the face plate that goes over it. And what you do, hang on. It's for a game called Cthulhu Death May Die. And investigators, and this is the card. This is one of many. This is one of the characters I like to play. Her name's Ariel. She's very powerful. She's a good shot. Anyway, the way this works is the card goes in like that. And then the face plate goes over it like that. And you can adjust the cards, just a little bit. And it's to track your tokens. You do tokens for stress, health, and up here, sanity. And then these track your skills. And you have these little tokens that are inserted in here. And the problem is, if you just use the card and you place the token, bump the table or you bump the card or anyway, the tokens will shift and you may forget how much stress you had or how much sanity and stuff like that. So the company CMON, they released a plastic overlay, and it had this like 1 millimeter indentation to hold the tokens. It's still not enough. This is 1/4 of an inch. And actually it's 0.2 inches. And when it fits over it, the token goes down in here and it stays put. And then the last thing I do on this is I have these feet. They're clawed feet, and you put a screw in on each side. And I put 4 of these. They go on the edge, and I screw them in with my trusty electric screwdriver. I used to do it by hand, and my hand was always hurt. I was like, why? Because when I twist, I'm twisting and it's pressing into my palm, and it started hurting. So I invested in an electric, and it makes all the difference. So you put 4 of these on the edges, and it's a tray that sits on the table, tracks your hero. You can put there's cards that you inventory that you can put under it, because it raises it up about, I don't know, 1/2 an inch or so. And I listed it last, like a week and a half ago, Tuesday, not this past Tuesday. I forget. It's been like, well, I know it was January 3rd. So today's January 11th. So 8 days ago, I listed it. I had no idea. I mean, I thought I might sell 5 or so. I have sold over 30 of these in just 8 days, and I am going crazy trying to keep up with them. These are kind of tricky to find. I've had to order them from different locations because nobody sells them in huge quantity. You have to buy them in a bag. But I did manage to find a Chinese manufacturer that can sell them to me in bulk, and I placed a bulk order, but it won't arrive for another couple weeks. Did you come up with that design? Yes, I did. Well, I mean, yes, I came up with this. The pattern is basically just defined by the circles here, 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 and here, and down here. And then somebody released an STL file that had already done the hard work, which was defining the spacing of the circles. And it was not open source. It was Creative Commons for commercial application. So I basically said, oh, okay, it's legal. So I took that STL and I just used the holes, and I defined my own faceplate, and I used the holes for, so that they match up. Yeah, the design was mine. I had the feet already in stock because hold on. So this is an unstained one. I designed this box a while back. This is the normal, what I call the student version. I have another version called the Professor. It's stained, the darker brown walnut. It has a metal pull tab on the front. It's like an old card catalog, and it's to store the cards for Arkham Horror, the card game. And when I designed it, I wanted it to look 1930s style. So that's when I came up with the feet. And hold on. So here is the base. So I make the base, I make the box, and then the box gets glued down on the base. You can't mount the feet to the box because the lid won't open. It has to be on a base. And then I sell these, and I've sold a number of them. I mean, probably about a dozen. And so I had the feet in stock. I originally designed this just for myself because I play this game and the tokens were always shifting, and it was just aggravating me to no end. So I designed it and I posted it, and somebody said, "Ooh, I like it." And they said, "I want to buy some." And I was like, "Well, how many do you want?" And they said 4. I was like, "Ooh." So I said, "Okay." And he said, "Well, go." I was going to do it on PayPal, but anytime I design something, I go ahead and list it on Etsy. And I just put it up on Etsy just thinking, oh, it's there. And then my friend was able to order 4. And the next morning I woke up and I had sold 17. I was like, ooh. So I came running downstairs and I counted up all my feet, and I only had enough to do like half of that. So I got real fast onto Amazon and some other sources, and I spent a couple hours tracking down these, and I'm still short. Now, thankfully, I've got about 6 that are on order, and they don't have to go out until January 17th, which is a week away. I'm hoping I've got some others that are on order. I was ordering them in like quantity of 6 from A and 10 from B. I mean, I was just like scrambling to get these, and I've got some coming in hopefully this coming week, and that will be enough to complete the current orders. But this morning I got an order of 4, so there's 4 more that are due on the 22nd. So it's interesting. I'm not good at inventory management. I probably need to become. So I'm glad I tracked down a Chinese source for this, and hopefully those will arrive in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'll have a whole bunch that I need. Let's see. Don't forget to click the thumbs up, folks. Oh, I don't care about, I mean, I know this sounds horrible to say. I don't really push people to subscribe and hit that thumbs up and stuff like that. I probably should. I enjoy my business, my laser business. I enjoy it. The YouTube channel is sort of like, I won't call it a hobby because I do generate a little bit of income from it, but I often forget that I need to promote my YouTube channel. And so thank you for reminding me, Toby. Hit that thumbs up. So what's that game again? I'll show you. It is called Cthulhu Death May Die. It is probably, after Arkham Horror, the card game, it is probably my second favorite Cthulhu game. I probably should not show you this, but I'm gonna. I have a lot of Cthulhu games. I'm almost embarrassed. I'm gonna take the laptop and walk and show you. And this isn't even all of it, because I've got one Cthulhu game back in the back. I've got another one over on the table over there that I'm playing right now. I think that's it. All right, enough teasing. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I take this off. Can y'all still hear me? I hope when I disconnected the power, I don't think that's going to kill the microphone. All right. There over my shoulder is all my Cthulhu stuff. Just this one section right here. Those are all Cthulhu games upstairs. Just some chat banter. Oh yeah. I mean, that's all my Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu books up top. These are this is the Death May Die stuff, along with some stuff up here. This is Arkham Horror, the card game, in that big card catalog right here. That one I designed a few years ago. That was sort of the beta of that smaller box. This was like $300 in terms of material and time, and also the feet and the pull tabs and stuff. So I never sold one of those on Etsy because I was like, nobody's gonna. Yeah, that's pretty pricey. And then I've got some standalone Cthulhu games, and then over there's a couple piles in there. So yeah, I'm a bit embarrassed. I will say that I am a huge fan of the Lovecraft mythos and the Cthulhu genre. And I play all these games. Some of them I play for video, some I just play for myself. But yeah, so this developed into this. And I did the inventory. I went and did today, Saturday. I've got to make 8 of these today. And it's not like I can make them fast. You'll notice it's stained. So the way this works is, hang tight, I keep walking away from you, but hold tight. I'm going to show you something. Okay, so my laser can hold a 2-foot by 4-foot sheet of plywood. It can cut 1/2 inch. I don't do that because when you cut 1/2 inch, you really have to do 2 passes, even at 100% of the tube. That tube is a 100-watt tube. At one pass, it'll cut through about half, maybe a little more than half. So you do 2 passes. Every time you do a pass, the tube has a certain amount of tube life, right? They estimate it between 3,000 and 4,000 hours, and that's when the tube is powered up. So if you have the laser just sitting there and it's not running, but it's turned on, the tube is on. So you're burning those hours. So I tend not to keep my laser on until I'm going to start working. That's why it's not on right now. You would hear it. You'd hear a slight hum. But it can hold a 2 foot by 4 foot, but I usually do 2 foot by 4 foot on things like these. These are my miniature displays. Now, the half size right there, and the one below it right there, that's a full size. That's called the Mega. It's two of these to make one of those, and then half of this to make that one right there, which is just the one I started out with. So I make them in sci-fi and fantasy versions. So to cut one of the big ones requires almost a full sheet of 2x4. For this, it only requires this is a 19-inch by 12-inch, 19 by 12. Why 19 by 12? I don't know. Why not 20? It's just weird. They make it in a 19 by 12 quarter-inch sheet, and it's not really quarter-inch. If measured, it's 0.2. It's kind of like 2x4s in America. It's called a 2x4. You would think it's 2 inches by 4 inches, but it's not. It's 1.5 by 3.5. Measured, if you don't believe me. For some reason, the wood companies in America, they do weird things like that. So this is 19 by 20 or 19 by 12. So the first thing I do is I have to stain it, both sides. You have to stain both sides. You don't have to, but if you don't, you won't get the interior. This would be stained right here, but the inside would be the lighter unstained color. So to get the full effect, you have to stain both sides. So to stain one sheet is approximately 2 minutes, and then let it cure for about 10 minutes. Flip it, stain it, wipe it after 2 minutes, and then you bring it in and you let it acclimate for a day. Now, I already have some sheets that have been stained, so those are okay. So these have to be made in advance. And I've got to go, it's 30 degrees outside, which some of you Northerners are like, oh, that's summer weather. Here in Atlanta, 30 degrees is like, oh my God, I'm going to die. You don't go outside unless, you're willing to take the risk that your heart is going to stop. I'm exaggerating, but really here in the South, if it gets below C, we turn the heat on. You're laughing, but my blood is thin. True story. My sister, who lived all her life in the South, married and moved up to Michigan. The first winter she was a married, wife, she was military. They had a record snowstorm up there for the area she was in, and she was losing her mind. But she lived up there for many, many, many years. And now she comes down, and when she goes out in 30-degree weather, she's in shorts. She acclimated to it. I'm not ready to do that yet. Adoro vuestras figuras de Abraham de fantasía. Oh, Jose, hola, ¿cómo está? That's it. That's all. I mean, I have a little bit more Spanish. I used to speak Spanish very well, but vuestras figuras de Warhammer. Oh, you're painting Warhammer 40K a day? I think that's what I could be wrong. So anyway, so what happens is I stain it, right? Then I put it in the laser, the big industrial laser, and it cuts out this piece, and it cuts out this piece and the four sides. And then it's just basically a process of gluing it together. And to glue it together, you would think, oh, just slap the four sides on, but you want a good tight fit on this. It does come out if you turn it upside down, but it's actually pretty. Oops, it's actually it's a snug fit. It's there's very little. It doesn't move. You can see I'm shifting it. It doesn't move. So to get that requires a little bit of a gluing technique using 3-2-1 blocks or 1-2-3 blocks, which I don't have in front of me right now. Then after they're glued, you put the feet on and then you ship them. So I got to get 8 of these done today. And that's, I've got 8 of those, 1 of the megas, 1 of the Marvel Champions card displays for a game called Marvel Champions. What else? I'm not going to go check. Yeah, I'm going to be, I really couldn't be in the basement much yesterday. It was just way too cold. It got down in the 20s, and you're not supposed to run your laser when it's that cold. So I did not want to take a chance and power on the laser and have something, I don't know if the glass, I mean, it's a glass tube. So my thinking is that if it gets too cold, if you turn the laser on, which generates heat, it starts warming up. I'm thinking maybe it's going to crack or shatter. So no laser cutting yesterday, but today it's over 30, it's 30, but they say 30 is not good, people that do it. So I feel pretty safe turning the laser on, because here in the basement, it's in the, I don't know, I'm wearing a nice thick shirt. It's probably 40 degrees down here. You can see the conduit up here above my head. I got one little, where is it? Let's see it. It's over here. Yeah, right there. One little vent that blows out warm air near the door. And that's it. And this laptop is sitting on a portable heater that sits on my work table here. But it's cold down here. It's cold. But once I get to work, and I tend to forget, I turn some music on and get going. Rob says, always better to be too busy than not busy enough. I agree. Yesterday killed me because there really wasn't much to do. My kiddos were home from school, and all they want to do is play video games with their friends, which I get. They don't have school, so they want to get with their friends online and play a lot of video games. And my wife had to work, and I couldn't work, so I was pulling my hair out. I did some straightening up in my workshop. You really can't tell, which is sad, but I did, I promise. I also, I designed. So whenever I'm down, if I can at least have power to my laptop, I try to design stuff. So right now, my next design, and I'm not done yet. I just started it. This is the base plate for a dice tray for the game. I don't know if I'll sell it. I'm making it for myself because I'd like to have a matching dice tray and I'm going to use different feet for this one. Do I have them? Yeah, I do. I have the little feet. They're not the claw feet, and they'll go like on the edge here. And there's 4 walls. Sorry, I haven't put the sides on yet. These will go on to keep it just above the table, a little hair, so it'll give the dice a nice sound when they roll on it. And so I was just I was pulling my hair out, and I was like, I'm going to design myself a dice tower. So I did. What else? Okay. And a lot of this may be useful to you if you open up a laser business or a CNC business or a 3D printing business. One of the tricky things with doing laser work is, you don't want to waste wood. Wood costs money, and it has gone up. This used to be $3 a sheet. It is now $5, and that's just in the last year and a half. Material costs have increased. It's crazy. $5 a sheet of wood like that. So you want to try to minimize waste. So whenever you're cutting things like this, sometimes you'll have a big piece that's not got anything on it. So I tend to save those. I save them like this size. These come from a product where I get a bunch. You can see I have a stack of these about a foot high. And these are always going to be useful for something. You inevitably find something you make that's small. And I designed this around Christmas. I designed this rocking horse ornament, and I can make one rocking horse from this piece of wood. So I save these because towards the end of this year, I'll start using them up to cut pieces for rocking horses. But so when I was designing had this one big gap here. These pieces right here are it's kind of hard to do anything with them, but this piece was a good enough size. So what I do is I cut out an elder sign token out of it. I could probably get 2 if I designed it right. Yeah, I could probably get 2 out of there. I may do that. I may change it. And then what I do is I have a stained one and an unstained, and then I put a piece of a string and with a little leather strap, and it's just an elder sign amulet, and I send one of those out with every one of these. It's just, I hate to waste the wood, and if I can give my players or my buyers a little extra, I do. So I send out these with them. What else do I have going today? Okay, well, you can see my 3D printer is going. This one right here has a clogged nozzle. I don't know if it's due to the cold or what, but I'm gonna have to break it apart. And I tried overheating it and pushing filament through, and it's going through, but not enough. So I know that there's got to be some sort of blockage in there. This one's working just fine. And anyway, let's see. Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. So I'm creating some more Frostgrave terrain. This is part 1. That's part 2. I think this is a 6-parter. It's multi-levels, and so it's going to be a good sized piece. And I've been painting these up over the Christmas holiday in anticipation of a Frostgrave game that I'm going to be starting up. Well, I've already started it, but those videos will start up on Friday. Yeah, no, Thursday. Hold on. No, Friday. Frostgrave Fridays. Or Friday Frostgrave. I don't know. That's how I remember it. Friday is Frostgrave. Saturday is going to be Stargrave. Monday is Mythos Monday. I play Mythos games on Monday. And so anyway, that's how I keep it straight in my head. What else? The laser cutting, the Frostgrave game, the 3D printer. So that's about it. I just I'll be honest, what I'm doing is procrastinating. Up the laser, I really need to focus on that. And I'm a little nervous about firing it up. I don't think the tube's gonna, knock on wood, I don't think the tube is gonna do anything bad. But after the laser's been dormant since Thursday, I cut it off Thursday night at about 8 o'clock. It dipped below 30, it dipped below freezing, and I was like, okay. And so I turned it off, put a blanket over the back of it, which probably didn't help. And haven't turned it on since. So I'm just procrastinating. I'm a little nervous about turning it on, and I'm not going to do it live because you don't want to see a grown man cry to that tube. I replaced that tube not just a little over a month ago. The old one went bad. I had it for 3 years. It went bad. I ordered a new one. It's $1,000 for that tube. And, my oldest son helped me install it, and then I had to tune it. Now the whole fiasco, but it's back running. So I really don't want to go through all that mess again. So I don't know. I'll have to check the current temperature outside. I'm hoping now that it's just a little after noon, I'm hoping that maybe it's warmed up just a little bit. If it can get above 32, because remember, the laser tube has water flowing through it. And I think that could also possibly contribute. You don't want to force freezing water, cold water through a tube that is generating heat. I got to think, as an engineer, that just won't mix, right? It's like if you heat up a glass, a glass, and then you take it out in the cold will make it contract real fast, and it shatters. So the scientist in me, the engineer in me, is going, ooh, I may go and take one more reading outside of the temperature just so I can see what it's going to do. So Toby says, how much do they cost new? Oh, it depends. This is an industrial laser. Okay. You can get hobbyist lasers now. I've seen them in the 500 range. Now they're called, okay. So your laser has a tube in it. The tube generates a certain amount of wattage. You can find wattage from, I think, 20 watts up to hundreds. This is a 100 watt tube. The Glowforge, which is probably one of the more well-known lasers, it is a 40 watt, although the new version of it may be 50. I could be wrong. I started out with a Glowforge like 5 years ago, and at the time, that Glowforge I think was $2,500, and I don't know what it is now. I don't even stay up with Glowforge. The Glowforge was a great way to learn how to do things. It's very slow. The Glowforge was very, very slow. The cutting power was low, 40 watts versus 100 watts. A lot of times I would have to double cut to cut through a quarter inch of wood. Um, it was also very finicky. I don't know. It was just finicky. It was a hobbyist laser. That's what I call it. It was a hobbyist laser. Now there are businesses out there right now that are Glowforge businesses. They have Etsy shop. They you know they still use their Glowforge, but I outgrew my Glowforge. When my Etsy business took off, I quickly realized that the Glowforge, I, I could not I could not produce fast enough. So I started looking, and Thunder is the Thunder is my laser. It is a Chinese made laser, but it's a US company based out of Texas. They have awesome tech support. I did my research, spent many, many months um, researching before I settled on the Thunder, and I have zero regrets for that. That was probably one of the best researched and decisions I ever made, was choosing the Thunder, because I know other people here in Atlanta who have different name brand lasers, and they've had issues with tech support when it comes time to call somebody. So they don't pay under employee or anything. I can tell you, if you're really wanting to get into a professional level laser, you can't go wrong with the Thunder. Now, this is what's called a CO2 tube. They have these other lasers called diode lasers, which these are the ones you're starting to see a lot of these days. They're low wattage. They can cut, but most of them are being used as what's called engraving lasers. They'll engrave on metal or wood or plastic. They don't cut through it, but they engrave on it. They can cut through it. It just depends on the power. And like I said, sometimes you got to do multiple passes to cut through a thicker material. Um, the diode lasers, I've seen them. You can find them like $500 to $1,000. I may be lowballing that. It could be like 800 or so. This laser, if you were to buy it today, no surprise, you can go on thunder.com, thunderlaserusa.com, and find the prices. I believe this one is still sitting at around 11,000. But here's the clincher. Before you guys have a heart attack, I paid that off in about 3 months. I tracked the profit I made on it. When I got it, it was like June. So between June and say September, I was making profit on the items, but I wasn't doing a lot of items. My laser business was still growing. Around the first Christmas, which was 3 years ago, my business started really upticking. I was mostly selling Christmas ornaments. I can't remember if I had the miniature displays or not. I may have had the smaller one, not the bigger one. And I sold a few of those. But it was around September that I noticed an uptick. And between the month of October, November, and December, I made enough money to pay it off. So, and I did. That's what I put it on. I put a down payment of like 2 or 3,000. This has been 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I think it was $2,000 or $3,000. I put a down payment on, and then I put the rest of it on my Amex, not the one you pay monthly, but the one you pay as you want. Interesting story. After I paid off that Amex, that's when they offered me the platinum or whatever they're like, oh, you know what? You need to have this one we have, and we're not going to charge you for it. So I took it, and I hardly ever use it except for expenditures. But anyway, 11,000. So it's not a purchase for the faint of heart. It has a learning curve. Now, my background is industrial engineering. I got an English degree, but I also got an industrial engineering degree at the same time. People think that's weird, but at the time, I loved literature. I loved writing, which is what I did for many, many years. I was a tech writer, and before I decided to go out and try my hand at a laser business. So I will tell you that the Glowforge was a great way to cut my teeth. The learning curve was not as steep. If I had started with the Thunder, it could have been a little, because with the Thunder, there's lots of settings. Like there's power, there's speed, there's minimum power, maximum power. When it goes into a curve, like if it's cutting, think about it. If it's going straight up and it's going to make a 90-degree, it has to come to a stop and then go. Well, when it comes to a stop, even if it's for like a split second, the laser is still cutting. So what you end up with is you end up with like a burn spot or a darker cut as it current. But if you curve, it doesn't do that, right? So you have to learn, when you do a curve, you can keep the power at a certain level, but the speed when you go around a curve, right? I don't understand. I could probably get the algebra math to it, but you have to. There are settings in the laser where you have to say, okay, minimum power is this, maximum is this, minimum is this, and that's for dealing with curves. And also when it stops and does a 90-degree, there's ways around that. All of this is learning. You have to learn about the different materials you're cutting, because the laser, it's fire. I mean, I have seen, go on, you may not want to do this, but go on and Google or YouTube and search for laser machine fires. People have fires with these things. And there's two reasons they do that. Well, I can think of two. One reason I can think of is that they don't know how to operate their machine right. They haven't got it tweaked with the right settings. The second one is, and this is the bigger one, is that I think they walk away from the machine working. With a 3D printer, you can do that. I can leave this thing running overnight. I'm not worried about it. Now, older 3D printers had this thing where it could overheat and stuff. These newer ones don't do that. I can leave that thing running overnight and I don't worry about it. I never, ever leave the room when my laser is on. And have I ever had a fire in it? No. That's a third reason. The third reason is I don't cut anything less than 3/8 of an inch. When you start cutting real thin material like paper, some people cut paper. I'm like, why would you do that? There are machines like the Cricut that can cut thin paper so much better and safer. People cut paper in this thing. They also cut cardboard. Guess what cardboard is made out of? Paper. Now, paper's made out of wood, but cardboard and paper are flammable. They're flammable. And so I think a lot of the times you hear about fires, it's people cutting their material when they should be using a different tool. The secret is knowing the right tool for the material. I have, knock on wood, I have not had a fire. I do have a fire extinguisher, or a big one, on the floor that's about 3 feet from my laser. The handle is always pointed towards the laser, so if I had to, I could grab it real quick. I also have a foam ball. Do y'all know what those are? Hang on, let me show you this. Not a lot of people know about this, so I'm happy to share this with you. If you ever have a tool or an environment where you think there is likely to be a fire, you can buy one of these. It comes with a stand. It's this ball. It is a charge of material. There's some retardant in the center of it, and it is surrounded by polystyrene foam. This is a foam ball. Now, this is plastic that's wrapped around it for sales purposes. You could take this off and you'd see that it's a foam ball in there. But what happens is, if there's a fire near this, when the heat gets to a certain point, it starts melting the foam. And when it gets to a certain point, it will actually explode, small explosion of fire retardant, and it covers a large area and it will extinguish the fire. Now, I've never had to test it, so I'm hoping that the advertisement, I've seen them on video set off, and I know how it works. But it says, is light and portable, made of waterproof plastic shell and filled with harmless environmental retardant power. Somebody told me about it, and I bought one, and it sits top of my laser at the very back of the machine. In case something were to go wrong, I've got it. So I tell you all this because, owning the machine is great power, Haha, comes great responsibility. Y'all have been hitting me with questions. Had no idea it was such a beast. Yeah, it's a big. I told my wife when I got it, she's like, "Good Lord," and she goes, "You're gonna be buried in that thing. That's my coffin. That's what she." She's like, you can be buried in that. No need to buy a coffin." Rob says, "What program do you use for design work, or does the Thunder have a native base platform?" All my designs are mostly done in Inkscape, free open source graphics program. It's kind of like Illustrator, but it's free. And I've used it forever and ever, and I've gotten really good at it. And if you want to get really good with Inkscape, there is a YouTube channel. Is it Rob? There's a YouTube channel. I can't look it up right now. I'll try to remember and add it to the notes for the video. He has been creating these little tutorials on Inkscape for like 5 or 6 or 7 years. And I started watching them years ago, and I've gotten pretty good with Inkscape. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a professional level, but I'm pretty darn close, if not there. Inkscape's what I do design work for. The Thunder Laser is like a 3D printer or a CNC machine in the sense it needs another piece of software that runs on your computer that takes whatever image you've designed, and it takes it and it converts it to the data that the laser needs to move the cutter. With CNC machines, it's called CAD software, CAD. And again, I learned all this in college, so it wasn't a big learning curve for me. But with the Thunder, the CAD program that most people use for laser cutters is a program called Lightburn. And I just updated on January 1st. It's a yearly subscription, and I happen to just time it where mine starts on January. It's $30 a year, and it's well worth it. Lightburn is considered the industry standard, I believe, for laser cutters. Go on YouTube and you just look up Lightburn. You will see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tutorials on all the things it can do. It can do a lot of the things that I do in Inkscape. I've just gotten so good with Inkscape that I'm faster designing with Inkscape than I am with Lightburn. Now, Lightburn doesn't have all the fancy bells and whistles that Inkscape does, so that's why I still use Inkscape. But you can do text, shapes, you can create, pretty intricate stuff in Lightburn, and there are tons of tutorials out there that show you the power of it. So if you're interested, go Google some of those, and you will find some. There are people out there that they are masters, like artists with Lightburn. The stuff they do with Lightburn is just incredible. King of the ones. I'll leave the house with the 3D printer going. Don't go to the head with a laser gun. No, never leave a laser by itself. Speaking of cardboard, have you had a chance to do anything with Maladum? Yeah, I have. I just finished. Here's Maladum. I just finished painting up my heroes, the red skeleton dudes, and some of the other guys. I've got all the painting done. My goal is this coming week. I want to start filming some Maladum videos. So yeah, it's coming. And I love the game, so it's a no-brainer that I go shooting video of them. There are some cool YouTube videos of those being used. I'm not sure of lasers, of Lightburn. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. So yeah, wow, this live stream took a curve. I wasn't even sure what I was going to talk about when I came on. I figured that enough people would hit me with questions, which you're doing, and that would be the thing. That was the fire retardant. Oh yeah. Oh, there are some cool videos of it. Yeah, I saw a video years ago, and that's why I bought it. It was I think they set it next to a stove, or no, it was a barbecue grill, a grill, and they had one next to it, and they had the lid open, or no, I know what it was. They were demoing it. The guy walks over to the lid and he opens it, like floods it with oxygen, and it just whoosh, and it got out of hand. And you could watch, you could see the ball start to like smoke, and then all of a sudden it just goes poof, and it put the fire out. And I was like, I'm buying one of those. I don't remember what it costs. I've had it for 3 or 4 years. It may have a shelf life. I may have to investigate that. it may be that it's useless sitting over there because it's possible it does have a shelf life, but it makes me feel better knowing that I've got a backup retardant solution versus my fire extinguisher. Actually, that's not true. I have 2 fire extinguishers. That's how nervous I am. I have the one on the ground right there. I have a smaller one there, and then I have the Fireball that I keep right there. And so if that doesn't tell you that I am very serious about not having a fire with my laser, and it's in my house and it's in an unfinished basement, and the unfinished basement means a lot of the wood is exposed, and I don't need to have that on my I don't need to be worrying about that. So I've taken precautions, and again, I have trained myself. Now you can pause not all lasers do this. Some lasers, if they're in the middle of a job, you just got to let it finish the job. The Thunder has a pause button. You can pause and it will stop and it will remember where it is. And then you can take a break and come back. I have used that maybe half a dozen times in the 3 years I've had it. And usually what it is a doorbell ringing, and I'm home by myself and the dog is going nuts. And what I do then is I press pause. I observe it to make sure that it has, that there's no smoke or any sizzling where it was last firing. I look at it. When I'm sure that it's not smoking, then I go check the door. And when you come back, you just press the button and it picks up. But again, I cannot emphasize enough that if you ever get in laser business, you can't leave it. There are so many horror videos out there. Just go out there and search laser cutter fire. And it may actually turn some of you off of owning one, because it's pretty scary what these things can do. Happy to catch you live. Love your stuff. Did you survive the Christmas chaos? We did. Atlanta, as I said earlier in the video, Atlanta snow. I did not want it. The forecasters were predicting it, and I was like, let them be wrong. Let them be wrong. But no, Thursday night, sometime in late Thursday night, early Friday morning, it arrived. And when I got up Friday morning, we had about 3 inches of snow is what they are estimating. And it was, when I went outside, it was above my ankle. So it was a good 3-4 inches, I'm guessing, in certain areas. But we're just not made. Atlanta is not made for this. The city does not, and I don't live in Atlanta. I live outside Atlanta, but most of the suburbs and even the city of Atlanta, they don't have the money to have all these snow plows and things just sitting for that once every 5 year snowstorm. They just don't. And so I think it's just a gamble for Atlanta that, they're like, okay, well, maybe it won't be so bad. But this one was this is the most, I've lived here now for 21 years, and this is the most snow I've seen in 21 years. Before that, I lived in Florida and Texas, and I never saw snow there. But this is the most snow I've seen, and you can keep it. All you northerners know, come get some. If I never see snow again, I will be a happy person. I don't care for it. I don't like the sensation of driving, even when the roads aren't icy. I don't like driving around it because I just feel like it's just crazy. Is it hot there? Atlanta, yeah. Atlanta get up in the hundreds in the summer, but in January, February, and March, we usually are in the 30s, maybe 40s. It might get down in the 20s occasionally, but we didn't have snow last year and we didn't have snow the year before. So it doesn't snow very often. Did you go in on the CMON Cthulhu Death May Die Godzilla? No. For those of you who don't know, the Death May Die game that I was just talking about earlier, they were selling this gigantic Godzilla. And Godzilla they made a scenario where you could fight Cthulhu with Godzilla. And while they're fighting, you're trying to stop the ritual. That's the game's purpose. And then let Godzilla and Cthulhu do damage to one another. As I understand it, that's the way the game works. And then whichever one loses, you end up having to fight the other one. And he was like, what, $200 or $300? It was expensive. It was like, no. I definitely have a fear of missing out with a lot of games. I tend to go do the all-ins, but that is one that I just couldn't justify it. I love Godzilla. I'm a Godzilla fan. I'm a Cthulhu fan, but I didn't buy the big Cthulhu. And so this time, and then I didn't buy the big Godzilla. If I ever change my mind, um, the gaming store here, one of the gaming stores here in Atlanta has the big Cthulhu. I guess I could always go in and buy it, but I don't need it. I've got enough Cthulhu statues on my bookshelves. Got one, two, three, four, five, six. I've got six Cthulhu statues ranging from this tall to about this tall. And some of them have been sent to me by friends of mine who know I'm a Cthulhu fanatic. A couple I purchased. One was made by a good friend of mine on Facebook. He he creates his own miniatures. And he was selling one, so I bought one from him. I loved it. And but I don't need any more. No more Cthulhu. I got enough. Too many Kickstarter board games. Great. Play like crap. Yes, I agree. I've got I have backed games that after I played the game once or twice, I was like, oh well. But Cthulhu Death May Die, after I played my first game, I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. So I played another one like right after it, and I was like, oh, and I died on that one. I won the first, second one. And you lose more than you win. And after I played like 3 or 4 games, I like I said, Arkham Horror, the card game, is my most favorite Cthulhu-based game. But after that, it would be Death May Die, and I will go on record for that. Now, I do like the other games, like Arkham Horror, the board game, is fun. Eldritch Horror, fun. I also play Call of Cthulhu. As a matter of fact, I'm running a game. I'm the keeper in 2 weeks. Yeah, I got to get working on it. I've got the adventure, but I haven't pushed it out yet. And then, of course, I've got a bunch of other Cthulhu games that I play, but I don't record them because they just either they're games you can't get anymore, and I'd hate to show it to people and then have them say, "Oh, where can I get it?" "Oh, go to eBay for $600, and nah, it's not worth it. But there are a couple new Cthulhu games that I've already. I just got one called Chants of the Great Old Ones, and I just played a game of it, and it was so fun. So fun. I definitely am going to record 1 or 2 of those plays, put them up on a Monday video. And then I'm also expecting anytime I got the shipment notice. It's called Tiny Epic Cthulhu or Tiny Epic Cthulhu. I think it's called Tiny Epic Cthulhu. It's a small box. You can play it solo or multiplayer. And I have some of the other tiny games, and I thought it looked fun. So we'll see. I don't recall the name. There's a game where you were on a ship being attacked by Cthulhu. Played like about Oh, that's Unfathomable. Unfathomable. There we go. You got to say it real slow. I don't have that. It's not a solo game. It is a multiplayer game only. I've seen it played, and it did look fun. And I did sit down and play a quick tutorial of it at a convention. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but I tend to buy games that can be played solo. Those of you who know me, you've heard this story before. My wife they're not gamers. I mean, they'll humor me and they'll play a game every now and then. My youngest was into war games for a little while and D&D, and then he got out of it. Now he's sort of creeping back to war games, but none of them have any interest in any of my Cthulhu games. So if it's not got a solo element to it, I typically pass. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, well, what have I been doing this? 54 minutes. Let's call it quits at an hour. If you guys like this, I will try to do more of these. I certainly don't mind throwing it up live and just chatting with you live. I don't mind sharing things with you. My line of work with my laser. Now, all right, I'll end this by saying this. Bye, Cal. I will end by saying this. I was trained as a technical writer. All right. My first job out of college, technical writer. I did it for many years, probably well over 10 years before I broke out on my own and did books for a while. But one of the things that is sort of inherent in the job, and it becomes almost second nature, is you document everything. If you're writing for a software package, you document every button, anything you do, you document it. If you're designing a piece of equipment and you're writing the instruction manual for it, you document everything. You take photos, you do it reverse, and then you put it in reverse to show if you want to take apart a lawnmower as a, you start by unscrewing a screw and you take a picture of it and you write down, take screw A out, and then you put it in a box or somewhere that you can get to. And you work backwards, you take photos. And then when you get to the end and it's disassembled, technically, if you've done the right job, if you reverse the photos and you reverse your instructions, it will give you the instructions to put it all back together. It doesn't always work that way, but you get the idea. It is in my nature to document what I do in my workshop. When I create something new, I typically document it, either photographs or writing down what I did. Because sometimes I make something for like months, and I need to make sure that I right procedure to make it. Some of these things that I make, like this is this scissor box that I designed, and it broke. I dropped something on it, but it opens like this. You can see it opens and it stands up. It's got a leg back here. And I designed this to hold paints, crafting material. And for a long time, I didn't sell any of these. And then all of a sudden, and I've got two right there. 1, 2. That was the other thing I remember. These have got to go out next week. So I got to make these. But there is a procedure for making this that and the reason I do it is I made a mistake once. I did it backwards. See the 2 holes right there? Those go to the back of the box. One time I glued it all together and I put everything, when I tried to open it, I was like, oh, I glued it right. And I glued the leg on. The leg has to be glued on. When you tried to open it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I had to take and remove the middle panel and recut it and reassemble because I put it together wrong. So now I have learned to document everything I do within reason. Some of the things are so simple you don't have to, but I do it because it's just out of habit. So what does this have to do with the video? I don't mind sharing my knowledge with people. It's technical engineer, technical writers. That's what we do. Our job is to and try to simplify it so that other people can do it or follow it or understand it. And so if you have questions about anything you've seen, like the laser or making stuff, I'll do my best to help you. I am busy, so it's not like I can offer tutorial courses or anything like that, but I'm happy to answer questions. And so I think what I'm going to do as we wind down, I've got 1 minute left. I will try to do more of these videos because obviously talking to y'all, and I like knowing that that what I do is of interest to you. So if you've got questions, hit me up. And maybe I'll try to I'll definitely do at least one of these a week. I may do one during the work week and one on the weekend. The weekend one tends to be a little more fun because I'm going to be down here anyway, and I can chat y'all up. So listen, thank me. Wow, I had 23 people at max kick in. So that's pretty good. Good day, all. Definitely fun to cut you later. Yeah. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll be posting those gaming and other stuff starting on Monday. So join me then. And if you have any questions, post them and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, everybody. See you later. Take care.